Hi everyone, it's me. Number 10, Dogon and the Egyptians. The Dogon people are an ethnic group native to the cliffs of the Bandiagara escarpment in Mali, West Africa. In the 1930s, French explorer René Lesson came across the Dogon people and he was shocked by their knowledge of Egyptian hieroglyphics. He asked them how they learned to read the ancient Egyptian language, but they told him that it was something they had always known. Apparently, their oral tradition had been passed down from their ancestors who had traveled to Egypt and studied its language, then returned home and kept the traditions alive. The Dogon still perform ceremonies to honor the Egyptian gods, Ra, Osiris, and Horus. Even their creation story is almost identical to the Egyptian one, with their god Amma bringing light into the world after it had been enveloped in darkness. Some believe that the Dogon people could have indeed crossed the Atlantic Ocean and made it to Egypt thousands of years ago. Perhaps they were the first people to ever do so. Number 9. The Sphinx. The Great Sphinx of Giza is one of the most famous structures in the world. It looks like a lion with a human head, and it's been protecting the Giza Plateau for over 4,500 years. But what many people don't know is that there are other sphinxes scattered all throughout South America. There are sphinxes carved into the stones at Tiwanaku in Bolivia, at Ollantaytambo in Peru, and even at the entrance of Pumapunku near Lake Titicaca. These sphinxes look very similar to the Egyptian ones, right down to their human heads and their lion bodies. It makes you wonder if the ancient Egyptians somehow influenced the South American cultures, or if the cultures of South America were influenced by the Egyptians, or perhaps both. Could the Egyptians have visited the Americas? And if so, why haven't we found any evidence of their voyages? Number 8, ancient Egyptian artifacts in Mexico. There have been several strange discoveries of ancient Egyptian artifacts in Mexico. Back in 2017, archaeologists found a mysterious artifact buried beneath the Templo Maya in the historic center of Mexico City. It looked like a small altar with a round top, kind of like a table. The weird part was that the altar was covered with images of gods and monsters from ancient Egypt. They found scarab beetles, depictions of Anubis, and even a winged sun disk. It's pretty crazy to think that someone went to such great lengths to hide these relics of ancient Egypt. What did they fear would happen if people knew about the connection between ancient Egypt and the Americas? Number 7. The Emerald Tablet. The Emerald Tablet is one of the most important texts in alchemy, dating back to the time of Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure from Greece who is said to have lived in the 1st century AD. But here's the thing. One of the surviving copies of the Emerald Tablet was found in 1678 in a tomb in Central America. It wasn't written in Greek, but in hieroglyphics. The tablet seemed to be a genuine artifact from ancient Egypt. However, experts say that it's likely a fake. But if it is a fake, it means that whoever made it was well versed in Egyptian culture and language. And if that's true, maybe they learned everything from actual Egyptians. And now for number 6. But first I want to give a big shout out to some supporters. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you are new here, be sure to join the family. Number 6. The Nazca Lines. The Nazca Lines in southern Peru are a collection of over 1,000 lines etched into the desert sand. They are hundreds of miles long and can only be seen from the sky. For centuries, nobody had any idea what they meant or why they were there. But in recent years, scientists have come to the conclusion that they are runways. Researchers at Yamagata University in Japan used satellite images to study the lines and concluded that the straightest of the lines could be used as runways for spaceships. This is pretty far-fetched, but if true, it would mean that the ancient people of Peru had contact with extraterrestrials, which may also have included ancient Egyptians. Number 5. Egyptian pottery in Ecuador. In 1968, an archaeologist named Louis Marchal was exploring an ancient site in Ecuador when he came across something shocking. He found pieces of pottery that looked just like Egyptian pottery from around 2000 BC. The Egyptians would have had to cross the entire Atlantic Ocean to reach Ecuador, which would have been extremely difficult at the time. The easiest way to get there would have been by boat. Yet we have no record of any Egyptian seafaring expeditions to South America. We also haven't found any evidence that Egyptians ever made it to Europe either. So how did they get to Ecuador? No. 4. The Egyptian pyramids of South America. The pyramids of South America are often overlooked. Nobody talks about them because all eyes are on the pyramids of Egypt. But the pyramids in South America are just as impressive as the ones in Egypt, which raises a lot of questions. Why would ancient cultures on two separate continents come up with the same idea of building pyramids? How did they learn how to make pyramids without knowing about each other? Is it possible that the Egyptians sailed to South America and built pyramids there just as they did in Egypt? Number 2 to 3, the quipu. The quipu is a type of record-keeping device invented by the Inca people in South America. It's basically a series of knotted ropes that were used to keep track of things like taxes and census data. Number 2, the Colombian Sphinx. The Colombian Sphinx was discovered in 1969 near the town of Zaque in Colombia. It was unearthed by German explorer and archaeologist Paul Nascholdt. It's a huge stone carving in the shape of a sphinx. Unfortunately, its head and paws are missing, but we can tell from the body that it would have been absolutely enormous. The sphinx has a face that resembles the Egyptian sphinxes and is laying on its side in a way that is also reminiscent of the Great Sphinx at Giza. It's almost as if the ancient people of Colombia modeled their sphinx after the Egyptian one. So did the Egyptians influence the Colombians, or were they both influenced by a third, unknown culture? Number 1, the crystal skull. There are several crystal skulls hidden away in museums all around the world. The most famous one is the Skull of Doom, which is said to be the skull of a Mayan princess. It was found in 1898 and is currently held in the British Museum. The strange thing is that this skull looks nothing like a Mayan skull. Instead, it looks exactly like an Egyptian mummy skull. The Mayans wouldn't have had the technology to carve a crystal skull so accurately, and there's no evidence that Egyptians ever traveled to Central America. So where did the crystal skull come from? Thanks for watching. Which of these ancient Egyptian relics found in America do you think are real, and which do you think are fake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time. Bye.